Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bikini and the Brain.
Yay!
Yay! Today's really exciting. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to share this news with you guys. And the exciting news is we got a new intro song. OMG.
So here it goes. Thank you very much, Eric Ames, for getting this to us. And here it is.
Bikini and the Brain, Bikini and the Brain. One is a trainer, the other gets gains. They're podcasting hosts, their muscles they boast. Not dinky. Bikini and the Brain, 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 Brain. Their food is lean and clean, they get a good night's rest. They wake up every day, ready to be the best. Bikini and the Brain, Bikini and the Brain. Their fitness campaign is easy to explain. To prove their elite worth, they'll motivate the earth. Not dinky. Bikini and the Brain, 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 Brain.
So there it is, guys. What do you think?
Yes, I love it. It brings back some good memories of my childhood.
So the whole concept of Bikini and the Brain came from a funny cartoon as a youth we'd watch called Pinky and the Brain. So it just made perfect sense. So that is actually like a modified version of their intro song. So hopefully you guys like it. We have fun with it. So anyways, in our episode today, what are we covering, Miss Ashley?
Well, I thought it'd be good to do just, an update, and perhaps we'll go over our goals for this season, because even though the year started, the season really hasn't began for me or you yet either. So we'll, give our goals for the season and maybe even do a little Arnold prediction.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
Since I'm not doing it, I can definitely speak freely about it. So I think that will be fun. So make sure you stay tuned till the end for that.
Yeah, of course. So let's jump into it. So what is Miss Ashley Cotwalser's goals this year? You've accomplished so much already in your career. What's left, right? What keeps you motivated? What's left this year? What's the excitement part of this year?
Well, I really I would love to do some international shows this year.
Me too.
Although it kind of, I don't know, with this coronavirus thing, I feel like there's going to be more countries that are going to be like, what is it called? Travel ban for?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know how that's going to look. I mean, there's a few of them on the list now. But even if anybody were to do Japan or South Korea, I don't even think you can get to those very easily these days either. But hopefully I'll be able to do some international shows. And I was talking with Adam today too, and I was telling him I would love to do like maybe a show every month or so. Keep consistent, because I think it's really good with keeping me on track, personally.
Yeah, I think that, one, I'm excited to hear that. I'm really happy to hear that, to do a lot of shows. And what happens, I think, too, with people, you'll hear a lot of athletes and you hear a lot of coaches especially say, hey, don't do a lot of shows. And I think they're right. I think that there's a time where you don't do a lot of shows, and that's when you're like building your physique up and you're trying to get a feel for it, and you have a lot of improvements to make, and you can use that time to really use your energy and extra calories to like build muscle and put focus in the gym and have rest days and whatnot. But then there's a level that you reach where you have the muscle that you need a little bit of improvement, so it's not like a major overhaul, like a transformation. And that's a period where I think that you competing a lot makes a lot of sense, because it keeps you in check, it keeps you on track. We've all seen like pros who take too long of off seasons come back and not do as good because they were so far away when they started their prep. So for you too, I think it really helps and keeps you in check,
I feel like the years that I was like the most consistent were the years that I did shows throughout. You know what I mean? I've done shows. I think my record is like 8 shows in a year, which there's the girls out there that's done much more than that. But, I like to say, I'll do a show every month or 2 months. But, we'll see how the season progresses. I definitely don't want to set in stone my exact plans, because things change and attitudes change, and who knows, maybe I'll kind of get that, need for, oh my gosh, just need a break feeling. And in that case, I'll definitely take a break. But, you're pretty easy on me after a show. Like, I'm not doing cardio the next day or anything. We usually take a few days off from the gym, or depending on when my next show is, even up to a week. So that's a common misconception, I think, is that like I'm doing cardio the next day after a show. Most of the time, no.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing for people to hear, actually, because I have so many girls who won't take days off, or they think they're going to get fat. They take a week off, and I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like most pros after a show take like the whole week off after a show. Like it's like, and you look at the bodybuilders who, they're very susceptible to losing more muscle, more so than a bikini competitor, because they have so much excess, and it's like they take off, sometimes they take off a month after a show, and they don't lose anything, so there's a few guys that have been really famous for taking off like a full month after the Olympia and stuff. So yeah, I would say, always be aware of that, listen to your body, listen to your mind. If you're not feeling like you want to be in the gym, then you're probably not going to be making much success in the gym anyway. You're just going through the motions. So I think that it's good for people to hear that. You do take off a week. You take off. One time, last year after the Arnold was like a month, something like that, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because she was getting really muscular, and we're like, hey, let's just tone it down a little bit. And then even after that month, she still didn't really lose that much, And so
yeah. That's true, but I'm getting very eager to compete. I guess that's why my mindset's like that, because as you guys know, I'm not doing the Arnold due to my eye surgery. So I'm getting very, very eager just to step on stage, and it's going to be hard to not be amongst the bikini international contestants. But it's kind of like maybe adding more fuel to the fire, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, just while I'm on the same subject, just so you guys know, I had my eye surgery. I'm about 3 weeks post eye surgery.
Yeah.
I can lift normally now. I can do cardio normally now. I just got cleared for it like a week ago. My eyes are healing good. It's just I can't even wear contacts yet, and I can't even wear eye makeup yet. So that kind of sucks. And even if I was ready for the Arnold physically, I can't even look the part.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. But hopefully I'll be able to wear contacts here in a few weeks. So.
Yeah, she still has a stitch in her eyeball.
It's poking me.
It's crazy. There's an actual stitch in the eyeball, the white part of the eyeball. It's so
weird.
I
showed it to Adam. I made sure he saw it.
It's so weird to know that there's it's tied to something in there.
Yeah,
you know?
That's why I can't wear contacts, is because it would mess up my contacts. And
yeah.
I have bad eyesight anyway. I'm negative 5.5, which means without contacts or without glasses, I can't see. But yeah, it is what it is, and. Just adding fuel to the fire, I like to say. So
you want to give many hints of what's coming up?
Oh, maybe April or May or something like that.
There you go.
I feel like I'm losing the water retention that I was having, so I'm starting to feel more confident in my prep. That water weight was something else, and the digestion too. You guys, if you watched my YouTube, you know that I was having some digestion issues post surgery with all the anesthesia and medicines and stuff like that. But it's starting to normalize now. But I still need a little more time, and my eyes need a little more time as well. Poor little eyeballs. But I can see single, which is the greatest thing of all. So
yeah, and you don't have an eye that goes in anymore either.
Right.
So that's great. Yeah,
and I can see one atom instead of two.
I know. So towards the end there, your eye was getting pretty far in. Getting pretty far in. There's a picture that was pretty crazy to see. So now we're on the topic of goals for the year. So your goal is to compete quite a few times, as long as you stay healthy and your knee doesn't give you any issues,
and
that.
I'm mentally motivated and ready and focused.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that that's a normal thing at this stage of your career, because you've done big shows and won huge shows. So people ask me too, how does she stay motivated for these smaller shows that don't mean as much as an Olympia and whatnot? And I was like, she just likes to compete. She just likes to compete. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
The small shows. There is really no such thing as a small show these days. Really, it's if there is a small show, I feel like it's in a country where not many people can get to, or it's expensive travel. But yeah, they're pretty competitive these days with all these new pros. So
what was that show the other day? Was it 59 or 50? 50. The one that Itala won. It was at least 50. I know that. I know it was a record. They broke a record. It was 50 or 59.
Oh, was that last year? No, it was. You're right. You're in January.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's I don't, because Amanda Larson competed in that one too.
Jiminy crickets.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Yeah, so like that show was like second call out was like pretty good because it was like so many. It was like top 10 out of 50. You know, so it was like that's a nutty show.
Yeah, I mean, you know something though, Adam. I like it's like the mentality. I know we were having this discussion earlier, but the mentality of going into several shows but not necessarily expecting to win them all.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even when I won my Olympias 3 years in a row, I've never had like 100% win record as far as even the local shows, you know?
I don't think anyone has.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really be disappointed if things don't go my way, but I think I'll get disappointed if I know I could have done better, if that makes sense. That's what really disappoints me, is if it's like, oh man, if I would have just, you know, done this differently or posed differently or trained harder in this area, I probably could have looked better. I think that's what disappoints me the most, is those woulda, coulda, shouldas.
Yeah.
But, you know, as long as we go into all these shows with like you know what, we're going to try our best, we'll see what happens, but, you know, momentum's great though, but you know.
Yeah, I think that it's important to know that too, because especially for people who are listening, who are just starting with their competitions, or maybe they're trying to get a pro card, like understanding that, you know what, even if you're on a high level and you're doing, technically you'd call it smaller shows, even though they're not really that small anymore. There's really talent at every show these days. But to know that even girls like Issa, the year that she won her Olympia, she didn't win every single show that she did, and she did a lot of shows. She got fourth in Japan. You know, she lost to you, she lost to Bree and Stacy McLeod, if I'm right, in Japan, which are really, like, she's never lost to either of you guys. And it's just, that's going to happen along the way when you're trying new things, when you're traveling, holding water maybe. I don't know what the issue was that day for her, maybe just a different judge. And then she wins, she wipes everyone out at like a whole bunch of other shows. So it's like, bikini is always going to be that thing where it's never going to be 100% consistent. Like, even if the champion goes to a different area, just because she's a champion doesn't mean she's going to win a bikini, because it's not bodybuilding. It's not the biggest, leanest, most symmetrical guy wins. If there's so many different factors, and it could just be that girl's day for. So I think it's important that you realize that, of course, so you don't have this expectation of winning every show, because even if, you know, the current Miss Olympia isn't winning every show last year, out of like, I think she did like 8 shows and won probably, I'm sure she won most of them. I know she won Clash and a bunch of them, probably won 5 or so out of them, something like that. Maybe probably 6. Yeah. But just to know that even the best girl in the world doesn't win every show is important. You know, to know that when Angelica was winning, she didn't, the years prior to that, she wasn't killing every single show. You know, so it's just good to know in bikini, like, you got to give yourself that little like, okay, it's gonna be someone's day to day, and hopefully it's mine. You know.
Yes, exactly. I think like back in the day, it was a little more predictable. You know, because I feel like the gaps in talent was much more drastic, but now it's like, if you take like the top 5 at the Olympia, like either one of them could win and no one would ever question it. Yeah. You know, same thing with even these local shows. Those are air quotations. Local shows, like the small shows. They're you know, top 5. If you really look at them, it's like, gosh, they're all so amazing. Like, you could switch them all which way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyway, like, and anybody could be the winner, and no one would have a problem or question it.
Yeah, and that's just bikini, you know. That's the sport. It's there's so much that goes into it besides just your physique. So much goes into it, posing and hair and suit color and all these different things. So it's like just as good to know, especially if you're out there and you're like trying really hard and you're like, I just don't get it. Like, just know your day's. If you look the part, your day's coming. And it's just a matter of time for it to click. You know?
And I feel like that's also applicable to the amateurs as well, not just pro. Oh, totally. I mean, if you want to use Anya as an example too, she killed it at the end of last year. But I mean, she was also very good in the beginning of the year, but a smaller show, maybe she didn't win, but she ended up getting her pro card and beating everyone else.
Yeah,
so that's,
exactly.
That's an incredible story. And there was much more talent there at Nationals. So if you want to kind of give the rundown on that, because that was impressive. Because it's like, you know, so sometimes you maybe got overlooked, or just somebody, it wasn't your day, or whatever the case may be. But
yeah, so what she's talking about is Anya. Anya she did 3 shows last year, and she won all of her classes in those shows, but she never won an overall. So she's never won an overall, but then she got her pro card her very first try
and
at
beating
Nationals.
These people that she's went against before that maybe beat her.
Yeah, and it's just a perfect example, like, especially too, like, the local level judging is never going to be as good as the national level judging. Just like a pro competitor is always going to be better than an amateur competitor. It's the same thing, so you get different levels of judging, some that have more experience than others. And at a local level, you're going to have people that are more localized, that don't go to nationals as much. They're not on that national scene, so they don't have the same eye as like a national and pro level judge does, because they only see local talent. So sometimes you just got to get out of your area, and get to the right judges to see you too. So sometimes traveling a little bit to get in front of a Sandy, a Tyler makes a lot of sense, and that's what worked out for Anya. Is Sandy loved her when she saw her, and so she got her pro card her very first chance. And it's crazy is the girl who won the overall at the last show that Anya did too, ended up getting got a last call out and pushed outside, and
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, when she beat all these other girls that day. She beat Caroline too. Caroline won her pro card 2 weekends ago. Another girl of ours won her pro card, which is really cool, in Colombia. But she lost to that girl too, who got last call outs. And it just shows you, like, sometimes the local level judging, you got to get past that. And if you look, that's what happens a lot of times too. If you look really good, and for some reason in your area you're not getting the push, and you know that you look good, and your coach knows you look good, just go to maybe try a different area. Try to get in front of one of the higher level judges and see where you really are, and get some feedback from them. Because it could be like an Anya thing where, hey, as soon as you go to nationals, you get your pro card. So don't let it discourage you. So.
Also, like, one thing to consider in both amateur and pro, it's not only how you look, but how does everyone else look. So let's say I'm a very lean competitor against girls that are softer, but maybe they're not necessarily softer in the grand scheme of things, but they just happen to show up softer. Yeah. Then I'm going to look drastically different. I'm going to be the odd one out, and then it'll appear as if I'm too lean, or it could be vice versa. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's also like not only how you show up, but how the others are looking in comparison to you as well.
Yeah. So I always like with bikini girls, just compete often. You get feedback, see where you're at, and if you have to get in front of the bigger judges that can really give you that pro feedback, then that's a good idea for you, especially if you know, like, a Sandy or a Tyler's coming as a guest judge to one of your shows in your area. Like, try to do that show if you're trying to advance to the next level, and then ask them after the show, what they need to do, what you need to do to improve on. I think that's such an important thing. So, but the main purpose of saying this is don't get discouraged with your placing, especially if it's with just like local level judges that maybe don't have as much experience as the upper level judges. So, and then on the pro level, same thing. It's anyone's day. It could be anyone's day depending on so many different factors. So,
how many times have we saw like a girl that got like first one show and then the next weekend got like 8th?
Oh, it happens.
And they look the same.
Yeah.
They look the same size show, but maybe it just wasn't their day, or the people they were going against looked different from what they look like.
Yeah, like a perfect example would be like was actually like Japan with Isa. Really, I mean, she didn't look any different. Like, she looked awesome. We were going to that show. Oh, Isa's gonna probably win the show, because she looked crazy. But that day it wasn't her day. It's just how it goes, and it's frustrating. I'm sure it's frustrating for her because she didn't look much different every time she won a show. So that's just bikini. You got to go with the punches, and that's the sport you're choosing. It's not it's subjective, very very much based on the day too. So we're going into goals and stuff today.
Yes. What's yours, Adam?
My goal? Yeah, I got some goals. I do have some goals.
You have many goals.
I do. One of my goals should be to have less goals. I definitely burn the candle at both ends of the stick, but I like it that way. I don't know how to live any other way. I just gotta move. I just gotta move all day, and it's crazy. And sometimes even I'm like, you probably should slow down. But it's funny. I was telling Tori, I have this. We and you share the same thing. Where like I want to get so much accomplished before I die, and I don't know when that's going to happen. So like I have this like pressure of I gotta get it done, because you never know when your day is, and I like live with that. It's probably too much to live with, especially with this like new gym project. So my goal for 2020, which hopefully it's a very ambitious goal, is to get the building ready for 20. Like, I would love to have it done in 2020 and launch it in January. But it's not up to me. It's not up to financing. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has only to do with city permits. That's all it has to do with. So I'm just sitting here with blueprints, anxious to get a word yes or no, and then move to the next yes or no. And it's just, that's really my only goal in terms of like that end of things. And then I want to get, I would like to get more pro cards this year too. We already got one in Colombia, which is a good start to the year. I thought we were going to have one in Poland the other day. We didn't, but we've done pretty good over the last few months. We've gotten quite a few. So, but the goal is to I want to push that harder this year. I want to get a few more and really have impact on that. That's definitely a big goal. I don't think really, other than the gym being the main goal and getting that thing done, and then upping the pro card game. And then the other goal that I always have is always like to still, my goal is stupid, but it's funny. It's always to be like more like Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
I love Mr. Rogers. I think he was one of the best humans to ever live. Yeah. And my goal is always to be like better and more compassionate, that type of thing. And then, those are my goals, I guess.
Pretty deep.
Mr.
Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
You gonna get a sweater?
Yeah, I could get right. He's just so. I watched that movie the other day with Tom Hanks played Mr. Rogers. He's just so sweet. He's such a sweet man, What the reason I like Mr. Rogers so much is because he was one of the guys that he's like a perfect example of today's like society. No matter what you do and how good of a person you are, if you're in the limelight, you're gonna get negativity. And I look at him for that because he handled it really well. But people were like, even at his funeral, people were being negative. Really? And they had signs and stuff out. And I'm like, dude, this guy did nothing but positive things his whole life. And they had all these people, because they were saying that he supported, gays and whatnot. They had all these signs out. And it was like, he was kind to everyone. It didn't matter who you were, color you were, whatever. And he was always trying to like push the boundaries of that stuff and just be kind to people, period, Because he grew up he was doing videos in the time where there were still race issues and whatnot. And so like people were protesting at his funeral. And it just, for me, I like him as an example of just be good no matter what people are to you. And that's always going to be what they remember you for. But it was a great example to me to think about. I step back on it. I'm like, okay, no matter how good of a person you are, people are going to be negative no matter what. They're going to find something. And there was like an announcer or a news guy, and he was saying, when kids grow up, now that Mr. Rogers has told everyone that everyone's special, they realize, oh, they're not that special in the work field, and they're not. And I'm like you're bashing a guy that was creating positivity in people's lives, like giving kids hopes and to their dreams, like that's crazy. So it just shows you, like, especially like if you're in social media, which every one of us are, that's probably listening to this, that you're gonna have 100 comments on a picture, and there's gonna be one negative one no matter what you do. You could be giving to charity, like everything you got, and there's gonna be one negative person who says something, just like there was to Mr. Rogers, where there's the hundreds of people when he was like the nicest guy. He never did anything wrong in his entire career. Never had anything like, you always hear about these like big names that have like a sex scandal, or he was secretly dating guys or whatever, like just a crazy world that he lived in a separate world that he was hiding from the public, and then it comes out. Never one time did you have any issues in his whole career, and still got that negative slack. So for me, I don't know, I just really like him because he didn't care. Like he was like, I don't care if they can say what they want. I'm still going to be nice to them and kind to them, be positive to them. And in today's world, we get so much negativity where people creating fake accounts and leaving comments, and people focus so much on those comments. Like even Anya the other day had a comment on one of her things, and she had all these positive comments, and one person left something negative, and she focused on that. And I was like, I'm like, it's not even a real account. Like, do you know how sad that person's life is, or they had to like come create a fake account just to put a little bit of sadness in their life, in your life, just to make their life feel a little bit better. Like, you should feel sorry for that person. That's a dark place that person's in, to be able to have to do that, like, so I don't know, I guess I'm going really deep with this, but I just want to like everyone to know, like, no matter what you do, there's going to be negativity, and like rise above it and just be kind to people, because it happens to me all the time. Other trainers always talking smack, oh, he does this, or like, that's the funny one. And I'm like, they'll just come up with random things, they come up with random things, and they're like, oh, the only reason he's so successful is because all his girls are all drugged up. And I'm like, dude, you don't know any of my girls, and like most of my girls are natural. You know what I mean?
Sounds like an easy cop out of like why his girls aren't doing as well.
Yeah,
that's always the go-to. Either that or it's Photoshop.
It's so, it's like, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna be kind to you because I get what you're doing. You're just afraid of losing clients or whatever because you're not producing the same way I am. So you got to come up with a reason. So like, it's just, I don't know, I guess I'm going off on this as like a goal, but my goal is to be kind no matter what comes my way. A little more so than before. Trying to get better at that.
I don't know, how can you get better at that? I feel like you are the nicest person ever, like even to random people. You have that personality, like you attract people and they'll start talking to you. You know what I mean? I don't have that as much. Like if we're in an elevator, I feel like they would go to you to ask a question or something like that. I feel like I'm more closed off. Unless I'm in an expo, then I'm like, yeah, party. What's up, guys? But like I'm like just walking down the street or whatever. I feel like you're very friendly
Well,
looking.
thanks.
Maybe I have the RBF. I don't know. Do I have the RBF? Be honest.
You don't.
Do I have the RBF?
Sometimes you do, actually.
That's okay.
You're
It's a look. It's a look.
People ask me about you sometimes.
Wait, what?
They'll just be like, she doesn't, is she like having a bad day or something? I'm like, no, you guys just don't know her. She just doesn't talk that much. Like, with me, it's different, but you gotta like, with Ashley, you do gotta get past her like walls, really, I guess. And,
I mean, I'm good with like talking on camera though. And like,
Yeah.
I think that's why the confusion happens.
Just introverted.
If they hear me talking on a podcast or see me like on a video, they expect me to be like very outgoing at first. And in the right environment, I am. Like if I'm like at an expo or something like that, then yes, but not just me sitting in a room with people. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not an eye contact person. So
Oh
much.
wait, I have an excuse for that.
Yeah, you do.
But hopefully,
Now you can look at one person in the eye.
yes.
She was trying to get a lot done and look at two people in the eye at the same time.
We are referring to my lazy eye that I just got surgery on. But it was hard to look people in the eye.
Yeah, I guess
for
that
real.
could be the case.
I was
then.
like, you know what I found myself doing a lot with that is I would look at the ground a lot.
That's
put my
what it
head
was.
down because that's the only way I would see single. For some reason, when I looked down, I saw single.
That's so
but if I
easier.
look forward, it was double. Side to side, it was double.
That's probably what it was, because it was definitely more this last like year when we were walking places and stuff, because you would always be looking
I have
down.
to look at my feet. so I
Yeah,
don't trip.
that's crazy. It's so crazy. The quality of life is so much different now that you have your eyes fixed.
Yes, I'm just, I don't know, I'm so happy. Oh,
Yeah.
I get to see single again. This is how the normal people see the world.
Yeah. So, what else we got, Ashley, today? We got the Arnold, right?
Oh,
Is
yes,
there anything
the
else we have about goals?
Arnold.
Anything else on goals?
Goals?
You have any more goals besides
You know,
competing
I
and
think
stuff, too?
like, you know, I always try to be very inspiring. I know that sounds super
You're really
cheesy.
good at that.
I try to be, because that is very rewarding for me to, you know, motivate other people through social media or in person or whatever. You know, if somebody hears like my story or can relate to anything I say, I love
I bet
that.
you, Ashley, to cut you off, I bet you've had at least 1,000 people compete simply because of you.
You think so?
I get it pretty frequently. Yeah, I get it pretty frequently for people who are like, yeah, I was just always into fitness, so I started watching Ashley, and then I decided one day I was going to compete just because, like, she exposed me to it, you know? That was, like, their
love
general
that.
exposure to it, right?
I love that feeling.
So,
That's awesome.
I think it's really cool. But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you. I just wanted you to
No,
be aware of that.
yeah, that's it. I love hearing that. That's like the biggest compliment to me. But you know, that's that. And I guess even to have like I was mentioning, like a good person. I've been good about this. It's not like it was ever a problem, but it can always be better to have like a really good and positive outlook and mentality, especially when it comes to competing. Because here's the thing. Once you become successful and you find success in the sport or with anything, I feel like we forget what it was first like. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'm reminded of this. Like if we're doing a seminar and we're giving away like a suit or some shoes, and if that girl wins like the suit or the shoes, they are just so happy. They start crying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even like Angel's Bikini's done it before, like they'll sponsor a girl and she'll like just be like so overwhelmed with happiness.
That was
and stuff.
Daraja.
Yeah.
That was so cool to see that. Mm-hmm. Actually, that moment was the same thing because she was so happy.
Yes.
They started to
And that
sponsor
could be
her.
anything, even
Yeah.
like a local show or something, a girl wins. And I think when we become successful and these things are more frequent for us, we start to forget how it was first, like that feeling of like anything. We lose our gratefulness or gratuity.
Becomes you're
because
right.
it becomes more of a
it's
normal
very
thing.
normal. Yeah, because I
But
get stuff sent to my house all the time now, and I'm just like, oh, what's this? And it's like before, it'd be like, oh my gosh, he's giving me. I'll do whatever. I'll post all day for this. Like,
Yes.
you know, like,
And I remember my first sponsorship was like Liquid Sunrise spray tanning, and I was just like that. I was like, oh my god, he picked me. Oh my god, I was like so happy. Like, you know what I mean? Or being on stage at the Arnold for the first time as a pro, even just being there, it was like, you know, the best moment because I was just so appreciative. And not that I'm not now. but it's more of a normal thing now. So it's good to remind ourselves of like how like lucky and blessed we are to be where we're at, you know, like we're living the dream. And you know, you always have to remind yourself of that. So
yeah.
I try to remind myself of that even more now. Like I'm in such a good position. You know how many times I've said this.
Yeah.
No matter how my competitions play out from here on out, I can't be mad because look at this crazy career I've had so far. I went farther than I ever thought possible, than anybody else ever thought possible. I've done things that I never thought I'd do, travel places I never thought I would ever go to. I never thought I'd leave Ohio.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And you're still young in the career. You're so young.
I'm still youngin'.
Yeah, you still. I mean, you got to remember, Angelica didn't win her first Olympia until she was 3 years older than you are right now.
Yeah.
That's
So,
I think she's 36 now, right? 35. I think she's at least 35. So, but she won her first one. I think she was 33.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So,
But-
like, you still got a lot of time. She haven't even fully based on that. You haven't even peaked yet. You know, so it's crazy.
And look at this awesome like situation I'm in. Besides this eye surgery, which is just nothing in the grand scheme of things, like I'm working with the best coach ever, Adam, and like I get to come here and train, and I have an awesome supplement sponsor that, you know, pays for all my travel to competitions. High Tech Farmer, you guys are awesome, and you know, I get to compete. And I have other endorsements, and it's just like...
And you're getting an apartment built for you, too.
I'm getting an apartment built for me in Denver.
That's
like,
crazy.
Cool is this? And I have this awesome platform, like
Yeah.
this podcast, YouTube, Instagram, where I can motivate others. Like, this is way more than I ever asked for.
Yeah.
So,
It's cool that
gotta
anyone
remind ourselves.
listening to this, too, can do the same thing, you know? Because it doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you're on, if you're on the athlete side or if you're on the coach side or you're just on the sponsor side. Like there's guys who are like are doing similar things with a similar platform who just own supplement companies and start from nothing.
There's so many things you can do with this, and I think the least likely route is making money solely on competing. Like when people say that, I have to quickly remind them there's way more money to be made in other aspects of that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely for me, it was what started it all, and it's what keeps me relevant too, I guess, and keeps the good things coming.
I think that it's super important to know that this is you got to use it as your launching platform.
Yes.
You know,
and everyone's launching platform might be different too.
Yeah. I use it as my launching platform too when I first moved out to Colorado, because I competed in California. But when I first moved out to Colorado, I was like, okay, no one knows me out here. And social media wasn't a thing yet. Instagram wasn't even around yet. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to, you know, back then it was like, you know, you got to be like a local level trainer because there's no online training yet, you know, so I'm dating myself back then. And so, you know, it was like just getting started with online stuff when I moved out here. So I was like, okay, I got to establish myself out here in the local market. And I just competed all the time. I competed like all the time. And then everyone got to know me as, oh, that guy's always competing. Yeah. And then it was like, you know, I was on Facebook and making my posts like I do now, but it was just different, you know, so that was my platform too for making this happen. So
yeah, and there's so many people that's done amazing things with competing itself. So it's just, you know, there's so many different routes you can take with competing, and you don't necessarily have to be the winner every time. You don't even have to win one show to be very successful from just what the exposure that competing has given you.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go into now.
Do you have any other goals for the team, by the way, before we...
Yeah, you know what's cool? So I have done something different. It's kind of more, a little bit of it was more for, really a lot of it was for myself too. I've been moving at a really, really fast pace for a very long time.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, like 20 years to get to where we're at now. And what I realize is like a lot of the coaches that are like, I guess, I don't ever like saying under me, but they're like, they work here with the team too. They've been doing it a long time. So a lot of the coaches like people don't see, been with me, you know, 5 years, 4 years, like they don't see what it takes to make all this work, you know? There's a lot of people here. There's like 11 people here in the building, counting the doctors and everyone else is like 14. It's crazy. So like to get this place to actually work the way it does, there's other people like behind the scenes. And to work like as an elite coach, you have to have a 4-year degree. You got to be working with me 2 years, and then you can become like an elite coach. That's kind of the the rules of it. So you have to have a related degree, and they're really, really good. And so lately I've been like, you know what? I want to take on less people myself. I want to do, I'm going to take on only 12 check-ins per day myself. And then that's going to free me up to have more time and really focusing on the pros too, you know? So I'll have my 12 check-ins per day. So it's still a decent amount of check-ins throughout the week. And each check-in's an athlete, you know? So I still have room to take on, you know, amateurs and whatnot, but I'm going to have more time free for pros. And, you know, I want to really like focus that time and really go after more Olympia qualifications. I would like to get 3 people qualified this year in the Olympia. So we'll see if we can. 'Cause I don't take on a lot of pros, you know. Yeah. It's just there's just not enough time to take on a lot of pros. So what I've done is we created like a new system, because how it was originally was I priced ourselves really kind of high because I only could take on so many people with me and the team, and there wasn't any other coaches in charge of other people. So I priced ourselves to a point where we only took on a certain amount of volume. That way, you know, it always self-regulated itself because of the price. But so what I did now is we have elite coaches. We've had them since, you know, we've basically let our coaches take on people. Now we've done it since November of last year, and it's been going really good. And so now the entry level price point's like way lower, and so I'm expanding all this stuff. So now we have anyone can train under that method, and I monitor everything. So it's really cool. So I want to expand that and give other coaches the opportunity to take on clients and to kind of like make a career out of this too. But it also gives the athletes, like more athletes, to be able to help and oversee programming, you know. So that's really cool. It's been a really cool thing to see. Like Tori's been with me so long, it's like about time she gets a chance to actually use what she's learned, you know. And so so that's really cool. So basically building the team is actually kind of growing now, because it's such an easy price point to get in, you know. It's like it's just a lot lower. So that's another thing. So we can impact more people, help have more people with posing online. We created a new posing portal now too. So now it's launching this weekend, where you can check in with a video posing every week with a pro posing coach, and it's like $25 a week. It's nuts. Yeah. So, but it has to be done through technology. So I had to create the software for it, all this stuff. So that's, I guess the goal is to make it better, you know, make Team Elite Physique better, make it more reachable for everyone. And then help coaches that have a lot of talent that maybe don't have a platform reach a point where they didn't think they could in their career, and actually work with a bunch of athletes and help people grow. So be less busy myself, but help other coaches grow, which helps more athletes in the end of things.
That's what's up, Adam.
I guess there you go. Yeah, so it makes me more available for you. It makes me more available for like when Phoebe's going to come into town for like a month, and just really focus on those pro Olympia qualifications and stuff, you know. So yeah, is that too long-winded, eh? So okay, now we'll go. Is there anything else you got?
No, I think that's it for now. Like, I think we should go into these Arnold predictions. I think we were about to talk and then got super sidetracked.
We always do that. Our podcasts have we'll have a general theme, but then it just goes by the wayside. Whatever, it's ours.
Yes.
So
what do we want?
So I'm gonna I'm gonna let you go with yours first, because you play the little safer than I do in terms of like you won't ever number anyone, and I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna see if we get it right.
Okay. You know, I don't even memorize the list, but I mean, you know, I'm very based off numbers here, statistics, you know. I would say, of course, the favorite is Issa. I personally, from like my personal standpoint, I'm a big fan. She has like, I feel like even before she was super, super successful, I was like, oh my God,
you were talking
that
about her.
girl. I was like, you watch.
Yeah, you were talking about her. It was funny is before I didn't even know who Issa was until Ashley showed me her, because she was winning in Brazil and shows like that. And Ashley's like, there's this girl in Brazil. And I was like, oh yeah, she is pretty good. She actually is pretty good. You know, we'll see what happens.
Yes.
But we didn't really think too much, because she wasn't in the market of being challenged by the bigger names. So you just don't know until you're challenged by those names.
Yeah,
I actually saw that coming.
Yeah, I love her. She's awesome, and she's, you know,
very kind too.
Yeah, she is very sweet. You know, I like everything about her. She's very like X-framed. Her waist is very small. I'm very curious what her measurements are. And I don't know if anybody can compete with that waist to shoulder ratio. This is pretty crazy. I also like her face and the way she does her makeup and everything. Basically everything. Yeah. I love your face.
You're a fangirl of Issa. No, Issa, I love Issa too. That's who I'm going with too. For the factors, the main factors is that no one when someone becomes the champion, that becomes the standard of bikini. That
Yes.
becomes that's okay. This is what the Miss Olympia needs to look like now. When you take that into account, no one really has that structure. So it's really hard to like. She really separates herself because her structure is so different that no one can really build to that. It's just given. You're like born with it or you're not. You make it better, of course, and she's made it as good as she can. But it's really hard for someone to pass it when you're so structurally superior to everyone, if that's the standard. So that's how I'm going. I'm very, very curious to see, and actually for this year's Arnold, now that you're not in it, my excitement is actually seeing what happens when Angelica comes at 100% again.
Oh yeah.
That's super exciting for me.
We'll see. Yeah, she's obviously won some Olympias, some Arnold, so she's going to be one of the favorites as well. Also, Janet was only 1 point behind Issa in the Olympia last year, so of course she is going to be up there. She's got a different structure than most. She's taller. She's more. Her hips are wider. She has longer glutes, which definitely from the back look better, in my opinion. Yeah. That longer glute structure. She probably, I would say, out of the top 5, she's going to have the best glutes for sure. Janet will.
Yeah.
Issa's going to have the best waist to hip to shoulder ratio. I think Janet's going to have the best glutes. They're very long. The profile isn't as impressive as her straight on back, but there is no real profile pose in bikini that's mandatory. So, and then of course Angelica, which we've said before. The great thing about her is she's great at everything. Nothing is overpowering. Yeah. If there's nothing we can say is like, oh, but her this though, it's because everything's equally as good. So it's like
very symmetrical.
It's very symmetrical, yes.
Yeah, that's one thing we always said about Angelica is there's nothing about Angelica when you look at her, there's nothing stand out and that's in a good way. So like nothing stands out where you're like, man, her glutes are crazy big or her shoulders are crazy popping. It's just you look at her and you're like, man, there's just nothing wrong with her. Like everything is just lined up very well. There's just so it's one of those physiques where that's what bikini is supposed to be. It's supposed to be balanced and obviously very fit and muscular, but not to the point where it's past anything. So hers is just her whole thing has been balance. That's been her key to success. Is just perfect balance. Yeah.
When she's 100%, she is. She is whoa.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing is like we got to find out if she's gonna. She can tend to be either on or off. I think Issa's. I've always seen Issa on.
Consistent.
Like, if anything, Issa can sometimes get a little too lean, which gets a little too ribby. But I think if Angelica is 100%, she's gonna be up to 2. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be hard between these 3 ladies.
I think when I saw Angelica at the Olympia, she was off for sure. Like as soon as she turned around, I was like, wow, I don't think this is her year because she was just holding a little bit too much in the glutes. I know Angelica decently, not like really really well, but I know champions really well. I know that the mindset of a champion. I'm around Ashley all the time, and like. When someone like that goes from first to third, like their mindset in coming back, like is just, I guarantee you right now, Angelica's, she's a sweet girl, she's awesome, sweet, but I guarantee inside of her, there's a fire that just can't be extinguished. Like that's just the winner's mindset, that's just how champions are. So I think that we're going to get 100% Angelica and we're going to find out are the judges going to give her back like that slot, and that's going to we're going to see. So I mean, I'm having a really hard time placing 1, 2, and 3, but I do think that I think that now that Issa took the crown, that her structure, like even if Angelica's 100%, just can't do anything about her structure, But I think that I do think that Angelica potentially could beat Janet, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an Issa, Angelica, Janet. But then at the same time, Janet lost by a point and then won the Arnold last year, and
Janet also tends to be very good at the Arnolds as well. I believe she's won at that, and I could be wrong.
That was her first time winning, I think, last year. She got in second a couple times.
Yeah, but she's also killing the Arnold Australias too. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. They're all different, different structures, different presentations, different looks.
I'm gonna go with Issa, Angelica, then Janet. That's how I'm gonna be my top 3. And I think our surprise I think who's going to get in the top 5 as my surprise girl is going to be, I think Daraja might sneak in that top 5. That's what, just because structurally she's very close to Issa and working her way up to that structure. If she comes in right, which I don't think she'll come in wrong. She hasn't came in really off yet. I think that there's just a tiny bit of detail she still needs in her midsection that'll put her over the top. And she probably will have it by then. I mean, imagine, because the last time she competed was months ago, and I'm sure she's aware of that. So that's the only thing I think when I look at her, she needs just a little bit more detail there. And then, so I think that she'll be in that top 5. But I'm curious to see what happens with Justine as well. Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah, well, she hasn't been competing for a while. She's one of those that she's very lean in the glutes. She was, when was her last show?
I don't know. I want to say it was like at least 3 years ago.
Wow,
I want to say that.
That was quite a bit of time off. It's gotten more competitive since then, but maybe that's to her advantage, because I remember back in the day, she kind of used to get knocked down for being too muscular, but now maybe amongst the others, she won't appear to be overly muscular. And I honestly haven't seen a progress photo, so it's hard to say, but yeah, she's got a great set of glutes. She was always known for her glute definition. I think Itala, the other girl from Brazil, is also one of the top. Yes,
she's one that won that show.
She has momentum. Yeah, she has momentum because she just won a few months ago, and I think her look is amazing. I love her hair. Can I just say that? I love her hair so much. It's like big curly hair. Oh, I love it. I love her hair. But I think she's one that's like, kind of newer to the scene. But she could be up there. She could be a threat.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be exciting. Arnold, for sure. And then the guys, too. We're going to see Brandon come back. He's really pushing it. Brandon Hendrickson, he's really pushing it, trying to get his title
in
back.
men's physique. We got to clarify that.
Yeah, men's physique. So I'm excited to see. This is going to be a fun one. There's a lot of what ifs that are going to happen. It's going to kind of set up the year for like, okay, now what's going to be the excitement of the Olympia? Because we're going to see all the spots trade places. Or are we not going to see any spots trade places and it goes Issa, Janet, Angelica? I don't know.
Well, regardless, the top 5 is going to be different because there's a few people that's not competing.
Yeah, that's true.
In the top 5. I know that Laura Lee's not competing at the Arnold. I'm not competing at the Arnold. Jennifer Dory's not competing at the Arnold. So it's going to be a year of surprises. We're going to have some newbies sneak up there in that top 5. So.
Yeah, I'm curious too. Yeah, especially I'm really curious with Justine, because she's one of those people where the division has kind of grown to her physique, where she was maybe past it before. Like her physique before was maybe too muscular for bikini and too lean, and now it's like kind of there. Yeah. So it kind of built to her,
I feel like her body type is very much like Frida's.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah. I told Frida this year too. If you guys don't know about Frida, I'll probably do an interview with her pretty soon and throw it on podcast or something. But Frida, the only reason she hasn't competed is because she can't get her visa. So we're having issues getting her to be able to compete here. So we're not sure if she's going to have to go back to Sweden or what. So that's why you haven't seen her. But this is the perfect year for her to strike, is because she's so muscular and the division has kind of changed a little bit and it just makes sense for her. So yeah, so we'll see whatever happens with her. It's hard for her to stay motivated when you don't know if you can compete or not.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard.
You literally just don't know. She's waiting on paperwork. So so anyway, so I guess with that.
Well, with that, hey, Adam's going to be at the Arnold. In case you guys want to run into him, say hi. I won't be at the Arnold. Yeah. Because none of my major sponsors are going to be there. And honestly, it's going to be a hard time for me anyway. I'm going to get like sad knowing that I'm not competing at that show, but I'm in the atmosphere of all the excitement. And then, that's going to be kind of depressing for me. So I'm going to stay in LA and probably avoid social media or looking at it because I'm going to get sad.
Yeah, it is a sad one, right? But that's her show. But now she's, for the most part, Ashley's super healthy. The only thing she's got is a little knee here and there. And, hopefully it stays that way and we can get to
stitch in my eyeballs is coming along.
Yeah, hopefully, now everything's clear sailing, hopefully. So, but if I will be at the Arnold, and it's so funny. When I'm at, like, expos and stuff, people will walk by and they won't say hi. And then they'll DM me later and be like, oh, I didn't want to bother you. Like, just so you guys know, if you see me at the Arnold, please bother me. Like, absolutely, please bother me. Say hi. I love to hear your story. I love to meet people. Hopefully we could be friends, Oh, I hope to be friends with so many more people that, I hate that people are, like, shy about that. Just for real, come up to me. I'm always going to greet you with, like, open arms and be like, thanks for even knowing who I am, I think it's such an honor. So I hope to meet a whole bunch of you. And, we'll just go from here. So thanks so much. I guess that's it for the day. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Let us know in the comments if you like our theme song.
Yes, let us know. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.